to international series everyone's talking about. Stories that pull you in. Characters you won't forget.
Stop complaining and just get out of here. Go now, go.
We turn up the volume with music that moves, showcases rising stars, and bring the beat straight to your living room. And when it's time to talk, we don't hold back.
How is everything going?
Real conversations, big personalities, the issues, the loves, the moment everyone's debating the next day. Every show, every night, different voices, one destination. This is television that feels alive, unpredictable, and missable.
Good afternoon and welcome to KBC's Lunchtime News. You're just on time, of course, to get the latest in the current affairs as well as stories making headlines around the globe. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim, and of course we'll be giving you tabs on what is happening right now in the country and beyond our borders. So talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim too. And we'll start with this development where the family of Alex Kanyongo from Ituru village in Gatundu South constituency, Kiambu County, have had to have a burial for its kin without a body. This is after failed attempts to have his body ferried back home after he allegedly died in the Russia-Ukraine war. The ceremony had no grave nor casket, with the family choosing to offer their last respects for a kin in whom they had hopes in transforming their lives from the overseas job.
Kwa tunafanya mazishi, lakini ni mazishi ambayo sio mazishi kamili. Nilikuambia mtoto mmoja wetu kwa heri ambaye alikufia huko pande za Russia. Kwa bahati mbaya hatukupata mwili, kwa hivyo tumefanya tu ile jambo ya kumwambia tu kwa heri bila mwili. Manake hatukuwa na ile kaburi, hatukuchimba, hakuna msalaba, hakuna jeneza. Hiyo sasa ni tofauti kabisa. Vile tumefanya tu, tumetengeneza pahali kidogo na tukapandilia maua.
Mimi naweza ambia vijana hivi, wewe hadi ukisikia hadi unataka hadi ma connections za kwenda Russia, hiyo sawa kabisa brother. Bado mshahara Putin wanga analipa, lakini ni mshahara ya kifo. Kiambiwa unapatiwa 300 rubles, hiyo ni nini? Hiyo ni kifo. Pesa ni mingi huko, but hiyo ni pesa yenye utaikura.
Prize, but only God knows why. Losing you is my...
Elsewhere, Kenya and Slovakia have remained their growing diplomatic, humanitarian and economic partnership following the arrival of Nairobi of a Slovak Foreign Affairs Minister, that is Juraj Balnya, for a 3-day working visit. Upon landing at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the minister handed over humanitarian assistance to the Kenya Red Cross Society while pledging deeper cooperation between the two countries.
Slovakia's Minister of Foreign and European Affairs, Juraj Balnya, was received at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Monday evening by Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, where pledges were made on expanding economic cooperation and investment between both countries.
And to handover of humanitarian assistance to the Kenya Red Cross Society. And this reflects let me express finally that Slovakia is proud to stand with Kenya today and we look forward to deepening our cooperation in the years ahead.
We look forward to strengthening our relations, the trade relations, fruitful discussions.
At the airport, Blana donated to the Kenya Red Cross humanitarian supplies comprising medical first aid bags and foldable beds meant to support emergency response efforts.
The assistance handed over today consists of the medical first aid bags and the foldable bed. These items are intended to support emergency response efforts, facilitate the provision of immediate first aid and field, and assist those most affected by the current crisis.
Great honor to welcome our Minister of Foreign European Affairs of the Slovak Republic on his historic visit to Kenya. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Minister and ask him to...
We know there are many things that happen, some disasters, drought, floods, and other things. This will go a long way to supporting our country.
The organization lauded Slovakia's continued support for emergencies in the country.
And from the bottom of our hearts to the Slovakian people and your government in Slovakia, that the supplies, the trauma kits, which trauma events constitute more than 60% of all the fatalities in this country.
During the three-day visit, Minister Blanar is expected to open the Kenya-Slovakia Business and Development Forum in Nairobi, attend cybersecurity cooperation events, and visit Slovak-supported community projects in Machakos and Nairobi.
And in other news, the leaders in Malindi Sub-County, Kilifi County, are warning against the rising cases of criminal elements among teenagers in the area following a wave of criminal activities involving juvenile gangs that have injured people and destroyed property. The leaders spoke during the handover of a 45-student capacity science laboratory at Mkondoni Secondary School, where they urged parents to discipline their children when they see them involved in vices. The local administration urged locals to cooperate in flushing out criminals from their midst.
Kuna kitu kimemkwaza, ofisi zetu, ofisi za viongozi, ofisi ya security iko wazi na we are ready to help.
Zile operations zenye zinafanywa Malindi, Takoneni, alafu watoto wengi wao wakora, wengine wanakuja kujifichia huku. Tafadhali peana report kwa mzee wa kijiji, peana report kwa assistant chief, alafu sisi tunakuja tunamchukua penye anafaa kuwa.
Still at the coast, the lack of sanitary towels among girls has been cited as a major contributor to teenage pregnancies in Kwale County. Adolescents account for at least 16% of pregnancies recorded at Kwale Health Department. During a menstrual hygiene sensitization exercise, stakeholders called on the national government to introduce a sanitary towel distribution program in schools to ensure no girl is left behind due to menstruation. Parents also petitioned the government to increase public awareness on menstrual health in the grassroots.
Kumekuwa na watoto kutokuja shule kwa sababu ya kukosa sodo. Yule mtoto asipokuja shuleni, unaona ile performance yake shuleni pia inadidimia.
Tukahamasishe jamii kwa sababu masuala haya yanachangiwa na mambo mengi sana. Mara nyingi kukosa kipato inaweza changia hizo takwimu zikakuwa juu.
Wasichana wetu wanahangaika, wamefika siku zao za mwezi, mtoto amekuja shule, amekalia desk, wakati mwingine anashindwa kuinuka kwa sababu tayari amejichafua.
Elsewhere, Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku has called for an end to patriarchy in politics, which remains dominant in the region. Speaking in a Loitoktok during the homecoming ceremony for recently appointed County Executive Committee member for Public Service, Naomi Parankoi, Lenku said shifting the voice of women should not be tolerated in the modern society. Although the vice has often seen women shy off from seeking elective positions, the trend has been been changing over time, with more women elected or nominated to leaders' positions.
We love you, we appreciate you. Tukibaki nyuma kama jamii, tusipotambua kina mama, tutabaki nyuma zaidi. Dunia imesonga, dunia imeenda mbele.
Ikakuwa wamama ni mambo ya nyumbani tu, lakini hata sisi wa Maasai tunatambua, if we don't empower women, tusipowapatia wanawake wetu, watoto wetu wa kike nafasi inayostahili, tunajiumiza sisi wenyewe.
Kilifi County Executive Committee member CCM for Education, Felkin Kaingu, has urged parents whose children did not transition to secondary school, university and tertiary education to enroll them in vocational training centers and acquire skills that will enable them to get jobs as opposed to depending on handouts from the political class. Speaking during the handover of 3 classrooms at Gahaleni Vocational Training Center VTC in Ganda Ward, Malindi Sub-County, Kaingu and other local leaders noted that many youth were being used by the politicians to engage in lawlessness for handouts. They urge the leaders to put up policies that support youth empowerment.
Kama hawa vijana tuwapenda, ni lazima tuwatafutie njia ya suluhisho na kudumu katika maisha yao. Mimi rafiki, ninao hata mimi uwezo wa kuleta vijana 10,000 hapa niwalipe waje wapige kelele. Lakini hata nikiwalipa wakipiga kelele, mimi nikiondoka nitaenda kwangu nyumbani nikaishi vizuri. Hizo 200 na 300 haziwezi wasaidia wale
vijana wa hapa Ganda. Ni kwamba chuo cha Gahaleni tuko nao hapa. Tafadhalini tuache kwa watu wa kukosa nidhamu. Tukujeni tusome ili tujiandikishe kazi ama tuweze kutafuta kazi.
Nitahakikisha nasukuma huo mswada kuhakikisha wale vijana ambao wanasomea katika hizi vyuo waweze kupewa kipaumbele katika mambo attachment. Vile vile utakuwa kuna pesa ndogo ambazo wanaweza kupewa kama stipends za kuweza kushikilia kitambo wao wanaweza kuajiriwa permanent and pension board.
Elsewhere, gospel musician Ngaruya Jr. has filed a formal complaint with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI over remarks allegedly made by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, suggesting there was a plot to eliminate him. Speaking outside DCI headquarters in Nairobi, Ngaruya said the allegations had raised concerns about his safety and prompted him to seek intervention from investigators. His lawyers argued that allegations touching on the safety of a citizen are serious matters that require urgent investigation and appropriate action by relevant authorities, urging investigators to record statements from all parties involved as inquiries into the matter continues.
Kulingana na hiyo maneno Gachagua alisema ya kwamba Ngaruya Junior uko hatarini. Naomba security kwa hii government. Kwa sababu maisha yangu haiko sawa. Haiko sawa. Kwa nini Gachagua amesema hivyo? Maisha yangu iko sawa. So kwangu naomba security kwa hii government. DCI waita Rigathi Gachagua, waulize Rigathi Gachagua. Waulize Rigathi Gachagua ya kwamba nini na ni nani anataka kuua Ngaruya Junior. Apeleke wa maaskari atoe hiyo information ya nani anaua Ngaruya na siku ya kukufa ni lini na nitakufia wapi.
Now, authorities in Embakasi North Sub-County have intensified a crackdown on illegal gambling machines in a bid to protect young people from gambling addiction. During an operation at the Dandora office area, 10 gambling machines were confiscated and destroyed as officials from the Deputy County Commissioner's office vowed to eliminate the vice. Embakasi North Deputy County Commissioner, that is Thomas Bett, warned members of the public against engaging in illegal activities, saying such practices fuel crime.
Takriban 10 ambayo ilinaswa hapa Dandora ili watoto wetu wapate kusoma, kwa sababu wengi wao hawaendi shuleni wakicheza michezo hii ya kamari. Familia zinavunjika kwa sababu ile pesa kidogo ambayo wanapata wanaanza kutumia kucheza kamari. Vijana pia wengine wanaanza kutafuta namna ya kupata pesa, kupora wengine, kuiba masimu, kufanya aina zote za uhalifu ili kuhakikisha kwamba wanapata pesa.
So sisi kama community tumefurahia sana hii initiative. Hata ikiwezekana zikiweza kufungwa na wao wanaweza wenye wanaleta hizi kamari kwa mitaa waweze kushikwa na wawekwe ndani.
Hizi vitu zinafaa kuisha cause zina waste vijana wengi.
Civil society groups have petitioned the Ministry of Education to address rising cases of school unrest that have led to loss of lives and destruction of property across the country. Led by Juhudi Africa Chief Executive Officer Bendrad Nyamwaro, the groups said the government must urgently address challenges affecting learners. Nyamwaro also condemned hooliganism and indiscipline among the students.
There are challenges also in schools which are pushing these children. And we should remember that the current crop of children we have are children who are well informed and beyond, think beyond us. And so those challenges which are in schools is as a result of incompetence, inefficiency, lack of competence, lack of implementation of the policy of education, which includes what Matiang'i was doing when he was in the Ministry of Education.
When schools burn, it's not only the building that are destroyed. Dreams are interrupted, public resources are wasted, lives are endangered, and the future of our nation is put at risk.
And in other news, residents took to the streets of Nyanyuki town on Tuesday expressing their rejection of the US-backed Ebola quarantine facility at the Laikipia Air Base as schools and businesses remained closed. Laikipia County leadership on its part expressed support for the facility, arguing the establishment of the facility at the Laikipia Air Base. The High Court issued conservatory orders temporarily halting the establishment of any Ebola-related facility in Kenya under the Kenya-US arrangement.
I, in support with the citizens of Laikipia on the proper protocols to be followed for any engagement with the quarantine unit.
The beginning of the Constitution states that the sovereignty power belongs to the people, we, the Kenyan. So number one, it even asks us, are we even truly Kenyans, or what happened to Katiba? What happened to our Katiba? Is it just a book in the shelf? Is it just another article, another book that they are putting there for, just for fun?
They have people who are trained in communicable and uncommunicable diseases and surveillance and preparedness. But now they are bringing this disaster, wanatuletea kwa nini?
The Principal Secretary for Science, Research and Innovation, Professor Shaukat Abdulrazak, is urging various stakeholders to partner with the government in increasing investment in mental health, early childhood development, science and research. Speaking during the opening of the Aga Khan University Institute for Human Development's 10th Anniversary International Conference in Nairobi County, Professor Shaukat Abdulrazak further said recent incidents in schools, including the tragedy at Utumishi Girls Academy, underscore the need to pay closer attention to the mental well-being of children and adolescents.
We are living in a rapidly changing world characterized by technological disruptions, climate change, demographic shifts, mental health challenges, food insecurity, emerging diseases, and growing inequalities, including the conversation that is going on now, the disruptions that we get in our schools.
We have partnership both in the global north and global south that has allowed us to look at some of really cutting-edge science, looking at how can we develop wearable EEGs that we can use in the field to measure brain development. How can we work, with AI to come up with early risk indexes for child development.
You can do little for much. You do not need billions of US dollars to create an impact in this far-flung area.
Land title deed beneficiaries from Masabaha area in Malindi sub-county, Kilifi County, have been warned against selling their land at a throwaway prices after receiving their ownership documents. Speaking during the issuance of title deeds to a section of more than 5,000 beneficiaries, Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro and Malindi Member of Parliament Amina Mnyazi said that it is disheartening that some families had already made sale agreements to sell off their parcels once the documents lands in their possession.
Na nitazunguka kila mahali tupeane hati miliki ile wananchi waishi kwa mashamba zao. Ya pili, tumepeana rais na viongozi. Tuko na kamati ya magavana 6 wa Mombasa. Tuko na ndani hapo, tuko na Mburia, tuko na Joho na tuko na King Speaker. Tumekubaliana mashamba yote ambayo ni ya wenyewe, ambayo inaishi wananchi wa Kilifi ama Pwani, yatanunuliwa na serikali, yagawanyiwe wananchi wa Pwani ili wapate hati miliki za kumiliki ardhi zao.
Mheshimiwa Gavana, ni time yetu saizi. Bila baba kuna uhusiano mzuri na rais, tuhakikishe ya kwamba ardhi zile kwa tunazitaka tumeweza kuzipata ili tuweze kukomboa masuala ya watu wetu.
Now, students in Nyatike sub-county in Migori County have embraced tree planting as a way of mitigating the effects of climate change. The learners are drawn from various schools under the school Nyatike Schools Environmental Program have so far planted more than 20,000 trees and are planning to plant many more to support the government's target of growing 15 billion trees by the year 2032. Speaking during the tree planting activity in Nyatike, the program coordinator, Dan Luero, said that the initiative mainly focuses on planting indigenous tree species due to their resilience to harsh climatic conditions and high survival rates.
This time round, we have introduced different types of species of seedlings. The other time we dealt with mostly the modern trees around, but we realized that when we were doing our monitoring in schools for the first 10 groups of schools, we realized some of them were not surviving. So we came up with another idea that what if we go the direction of indigenous trees.
Kutokana na shule 10 ambazo tulitembelea, tumepata kwamba wamehenzi mradi huu na wamefurahia sana. Manake ukikuta wanafunzi, unapata kila mwanafunzi ana mti wake na anahakikisha kwamba anaitunza na tena anamwagilia maji kila siku.
To other news now, stakeholders from education, health and community development sectors in Homa Bay County have called upon stronger support systems for adolescent girls and young women in Homa Bay Town. Speaking during the launch of Cracking the Nut, a publication by Nancy Akoth-Odero in Homa Bay Town, the role of fathers in shaping behavior was emphasized among calls for collective efforts to address femicides, early pregnancies and gender-based violence.
This
book is coming in handy to fill that gap, to tell the society that as a woman or as a girl, you're supposed to hold on tightly to and focus to your future, focus to what you are able to do, so that by the end of the day, you remain resilient.
She has enlightened us on the various coping mechanisms that one can go through as a young girl or just generally as a young person in terms of pursuing your dream.
To a developing story here, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has launched a week-long anti-graft campaign in Kakamega County. The campaign seeks to create awareness amongst the residents on how to fight graft, as well as work closely with the anti-graft body in providing lands to potential corruption-related activities in the area. Achola Simon with more.
The Ethics and Anti-Graft body EACC has launched a week-long anti-graft campaign in Kakamega County to enhance cooperation by members of the public in the fight against graft.
Where there is corruption, you expect poor infrastructure. Where corruption takes place, there is no employment for the youth. Where corruption takes place, citizens cannot get services in a timely manner.
Despite alarming cases of graft across various counties and other exchequer-funded projects, the common mwananchi's involvement in the fight without being victimized by the suspect is still minimal.
The overall objective is to equip citizens with the knowledge that they require on corruption issues so that they can meaningfully participate in governance processes and also participate in the fight against corruption.
The week-long campaigns flagged off by the EACC Western Regional Manager Eric Ngumbi seeks to build trust and create linkages between the Commission and the public. At least 57 institutions are targeted in the campaign. Kakamega County Commissioner used the occasion to warn against misuse of youth in political violence in the region.
Tafadhali tusiende namna hiyo. Hata kama ni mambo ya demonstrations, uko na haki kikatiba. Na pia hiyo kutumika na wanasiasa, hiyo ni corruption, si ndio? Kwa sababu unapokea hela ili uweze kutekeleza ama kuadvance ile political ambitions ya mtu mwingine.
Achola Simon, Lunchtime News, Kisumu County.
And that report by Achola Simon takes us to a first commercial break here on KBC's Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. We still have more for you, including business and sports.
Watoto wa siku hizi wakiwa wanasumbua. Usikose kuona Gundu KBC Channel 1 every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Ujionee hivi vituko vya watoto wa siku hizi wanaosumbua wazazi na mengine mengi. Keep it Gundu. Gina!
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And now the Imenti Development Forum has opposed plans to clear part of Imenti Forest in Meru County to pave way for the construction of a state lodge, an airstrip and a golf course, citing several alternative sites within Meru County that can accommodate such developments without causing environmental degradation. Speaking at the forum, Charles Mutuma Mbogori, the chairman of the Imenti Development Forum, called on both the national and county governments to reconsider the proposed developments within the forest and urge the residents against persuasion to support the destruction of a vital forest ecosystem.
Meru, and I oppose any effort by anybody to demarcate the Imenti forest to pave way for a state lodge, to pave way for a golf course, and to pave way for an airstrip. If anybody wants to build these things, we welcome them. We'll have golf courses, we'll have state lodges, and we'll have airstrips. But please, for God's sake, have them put somewhere else, not in the forest.
Well, of course, that is a story we're keeping an eye on, as well as other stories making headlines at this hour, including the reactions following the judgment that was made yesterday by the High Court in regards to the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment case. We have had a lot of reactions. That is a story. We're compiling that for you. But for now, we want to give you a glimpse on the cabinet, what we have prepared for you this afternoon. And then afterwards, we'll give you stories in regards to the reactions.
Amos Kimunya was born in Kiambu in 1962. His parents relocated to Nyandarua County, then Nyandarua District, and made a home there. Kimunya studied there until his O-levels, which he completed at Njambeni High School, before venturing out for further studies. Kimunya would be top student in his class when he received his Global Executive Masters of Business Administration from USIU in 2014. Kimunya made his debut into politics as KPP Member of Parliament in 2002 and held that seat for 10 years. When Kibaki's first cabinet was announced in 2003, Kimunya made it to the list as Minister for Lands and Settlement. In 2005, when the ministry was reconstituted as the Ministry of Lands and Housing, Kimunya retained his position. Among Kimunya's accomplishments in this first cabinet post is enabling squatters in Geta area in his Kipipiri constituency to acquire and settle on their own land. On the evictions of residents of the Mau forest, he cancelled 10,000 land titles for parcels in the forest after a report termed the land allocations illegal and recommended their revocation. In 2006, he was appointed Minister for Finance, a crucial ministry in light of President Kibaki's goal to resuscitate the economy. Kimunya was a talented golfer. A former team captain and chairman at Muthaiga Golf Club, he rubbed shoulders with Mwai Kibaki over the years. Kimunya performed well in the finance ministry. He presided over the privatization of Telkom Kenya, concluded successfully in November 2007 with the sale of a 51% share to France Telecom. He also directed the Safaricom IPO, Kenya's largest share offering, which was launched in March 2008, standing firm to move ahead despite a recommendation by the Parliamentary Investments Committee to shelve it. The IPO was massively oversubscribed, bringing a ray of hope to a nation that had staggered under the shock of post-election violence. He was the first finance minister in Kenya's history to suggest that his colleagues in parliament pay tax on their allowances. He first broached the matter in his inaugural budget speech in 2006 and was rebuffed. But he was determined, so in June 2008 the proposal was back in his budget speech. He had been appointed to the ministry in the aftermath of the mega Anglo-leasing scandal that had seen his predecessor David Milari resign from the post. Kemunya was named in a scandal involving the sale of the government-owned Grand Regency Hotel at far below its value. He denied any wrongdoing and amidst call for his resignation, declared that he would rather die than resign. However, within 2 days of his statement, he did in fact resign. Parliament had already passed a vote of no confidence in him and caught between swallowing his words and waiting to be fired. On July 8, 2008, he made the difficult announcement that he was stepping aside to facilitate the inquiry. He, however, maintained that he was innocent. Kemunya was cleared of wrongdoing by an independent commission in August that same year. And by January 2009, he had been reappointed to the cabinet as Minister for Trade in an acting capacity, a position he held until 2010, when he was appointed Minister for Transport. He lost Kipipiri in 2013 to Samuel Gishegi, who had previously campaigned for him. In 2013, he registered the Kemunya Trust and began sponsoring children through high school using funds from family income and occasional well-wishes. For 3 years, he also sponsored a 2-week tuition and mentoring program that benefited hundreds of Form 4 candidates from schools in Kipipiri, all whom later joined various universities. In 2017, Kemunya was re-elected as Member of Parliament for Kipipiri on a Jubilee Party ticket. He was appointed leader of the majority party leader in the National Assembly, taking over from Aden Duale, who had held the position for 8 years. Kemunya had been appointed Vice Chair of the House of Education Committee. Then on June 2nd, 2020, in a parliamentary group meeting at State House, Kemunya was appointed Secretary of the Jubilee Coalition Joint Parliamentary Group. In 2022, he lost his parliamentary seat to Wanjiku Mohe of United Democratic Alliance Party. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Now let's go to Parliament, where the Senate County Public Accounts Committee is currently engaging Samburu County Governor, that is Latili Lilit, on the implementation of the recommendation made by the Office of the Auditor General for the audit report for the financial year 24-25. Let's listen in.
There. And if the Samburu people hear that we're going to get 8 billion, they will expect that 8 billion will come. And from my own experience in Parliament, these 420 and 454, most likely within mediation, some very little will change.
No, I think let's just have some faith, Governor. Governors were asking for 500 billion plus. Senators are pushing for 454. National Assembly is 420. Yes. We have a responsibility as a Senate to tell the public what we are working towards. So don't pour cold water on it. You should also tell your people that you are asking for 500 billion, which would have given Samburu 10 billion. So allow us to gloat over the 8 billion, because it might come through this afternoon. Let's start with non-deduction and remittance of pay as you earn. Auditor General.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Non-deduction and non-remittance of pay as you earn. The review of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Database, IPPD, for the period under review revealed that the county executive did not deduct pay as you earn of approximately Kenya shillings 2,707,946 from 47 employees, with no evidence provided to show that the county remitted the applicable taxes to the Kenya Revenue Authority. This was contrary to Section 5 of the Income Tax Act, Cap 470, requiring that all income earned in Kenya to be subject to income tax. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, this should be a very direct answer.
Yes, very direct. The 47 employees were people living with disabilities, and they're exempted from pay as you earn. Then there are two, I think 45, then two are interdicted employees.
Governor, because your answer is very brief, just read it just read it. I think it will flow better.
Chair, the 47 staff comprised of two main staff categories, those on interdiction and those living with disabilities. With regards to those on interdiction, two staff. The system cannot capture their pay as you earn, while PWD, 45 staff, the system could not capture, but they are exempted from paying pay as you earn.
Auditor General?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The results and the documentation has now been provided by the management. During the time of audit, the information had not been provided on the 47 staff. But given the reason that these are PWDs and the staff that were on interdiction, then this one is...
so staff on interdiction are not paid a salary? They are not paid anything? What's I mean, just quickly explain that basis. I thought staff on interdiction are paid a percentage of their salary?
Thank you, Chair. I think as the governor read, he said that two staffs are on interdiction. That means their gross salary after earnings and also allowances cannot reach the threshold of the pay as you earn. So they are paid part of the salary. That means half salary is being paid for the basic salary and also for the house allowance. But these other like commuter allowance is not being paid and any other allowances that are eligible for them to be paid.
Where were you when this question was raised by the Auditor General? Because you have given a very reasonable answer. Why did this matter have to come all the way to Nairobi?
Thank you, sir. Really, I believe that we provided this documentation because I remember even after...
just a minute. What's your role in the county?
Payroll manager, Sambur County.
So when you say we provided, can you say I provided? Did
I provided, and even I remember...
To the Auditor General or to another officer in the organization?
I provided to the auditors who are there in offices.
Auditor General, these are small things that should not be clogging up our reports.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The issue has been outstanding because the information that was provided then was not satisfactory, and that is why it was still an outstanding issue.
Governor, this is why I'm telling you, you are not, if the day you'll get outraged, you'll solve a lot of problems. Because you've got 12 paragraphs on things that could have been fixed right in Samburu, and thereby taking time of the Senate on things that should not come to Nairobi. If you look at the next matter, it is irregular pay deductions from employees with disabilities. A contradiction of what has been submitted in the other matter. Auditor General, is that still outstanding?
The issue is now partially addressed. The one on the...
What was the problem and what is it that has been fixed and what is outstanding so that we put the governor to task?
Okay, thank you, Chair. The issue was brought about by the migration of the system, their payroll system. The county executive was migrating to a new system called HRIS KE platform from the IPPD. So during the migration period, some of the functionalities were not complete. So the issue is now partially addressed.
No, but Auditor, you also need to help us. The answer to the prior question was that they could not deduct from persons living with disability, but in the next step, we are told that they are deducting irregularly from persons living with disability.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Previously, we had no information that the non-deducted, the 47, included the people living with disabilities. So we wanted explanation from the management to get to know who are these, the 47.
Governor, do you still want to take responsibility for this, the fact that your officers were not responding or providing information to the Auditor General, and therefore you end up with 12 paragraphs of things that are neither here nor there?
100%. But as you say, Chair, the auditors are also confusing us. They are terribly confusing us because in one query, they're saying, why didn't you deduct 2 million from...
I'm Peaceville Hasero, 14 years of age.
In our story today, we will meet a girl whose name is Kay. She is really looking forward to go on holiday. But something happens along the way. Well, let's get directly into the book.
I feel participants empowered in the pretty cup.
And today I'm gonna show you how to make chia seed pancakes.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, a group of Embu Town Boda Boda operators on Tuesday held protest over the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua impeachment ruling at the High Court. Led by local politicians James Ireri, the protesters termed the ruling as a miscarriage of justice, saying due process was not followed. They further argued that the ruling ignored its own finding of a violation of his rights to fair trial.
Ni uamuzi ambao ni wa kupotosha. Ni uamuzi ambao umechanganyikiwa. Wakenya wamesema wamechanganyikiwa. Kwa sababu on one side, the High Court ilisema that the rights Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua were infringed. And that should have been a reason enough to quash the judgment and the impeachment of our Deputy President.
Welcome to the world of business. Kenya is moving from a phase of macroeconomic stabilization to one focused on accelerating growth through investment in capital technology, talent and infrastructure. This is according to the Price Waterhouse Coopers' latest pre-2026-2027 budget review, which highlights a shift in how Kenya finances development projects by relying on public-private partnerships to reduce reliance on borrowing.
The shift comes at a time when Kenya's public finances are facing increasing strain despite improvements in key macroeconomic indicators. Inflation has been within the government's target range, while the shilling has remained relatively stable. However, government revenue collections continue to lag behind ambitious targets, even as expenditure pressures remain high.
When they collect that money, they will have a challenge in where that money goes. Number one, the first order of business will be paying debts. Secondly, they will need to finance recurrent expenditure. Thirdly, they will need to be able to send money to the counties. And fourthly, they will need to finance development.
According to Price Waterhouse Coopers' 2026-2027 pre-budget review, the fiscal framework in Kenya is currently defined by three major challenges. That is, revenue underperformance, a widening fiscal deficit, and persistent implementation gaps in public finance reforms. He says the debt servicing obligations are consuming a substantial share of government resources, limiting the fiscal space available for development spending.
We are not able to meet some of the obligations. And our reform agenda, we've put a lot of reform agendas in the previous budgets, but again, we've not been able to meet those reform targets. So what option is left for government? How will they finance developments? How will they fund their current expenditure?
Kenya is keen on more public-private partnerships, the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund to mobilize capital for infrastructure and other priority sectors to reduce reliance on borrowing. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, Kenya should take a proactive approach to conserving marine ecosystem to maximize the potential of the blue economy. Blue Economy and Fisheries Principal Secretary Betsy Njagi says Kenya is keen on expanding leadership in resolving global environmental and ocean challenges.
Economy contributes about 2.5% to the Kenyan economy against a potential of about 20%.
The potential for blue economy
in Kenya is 350 billion Kenya shillings. Currently, we are at 39 billion Kenya shillings. So you can see there's around 300 billion that is still untapped. The entire trade in the world happens through the maritime sector, over 90%. But there are opportunities to have Kenyan-owned companies into this space.
Blue economy stakeholders believe Kenya could realize additional value from its Indian Ocean resources by securing the marine ecosystems.
For us, as a department and as a ministry, is to see how this conference will be beneficial to Kenyans. Not only from a global perspective and an African continent, but as Kenyans. What's in it for us? How do we benefit in this?
Njagi says enhanced focus on marine conservation, climate resilience and sustainable blue economy investment could unlock more opportunities.
It is a big issue within the country, within the world. So it is important that governments speak towards how best they can be able to work together and commit also resources towards marine governance or ocean governance in general.
Rampant, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, low skills and outdated equipment and technologies are among challenges slowing the blue economy sector.
Kenyan startups are set to access seed funding and new business partnership through an innovation program bringing together local and Slovak companies. The initiative is expected to strengthen the links between the startups, investors and technology partners while creating opportunities for knowledge exchange and business growth.
We will put these two worlds together into a co-creation sessions, a bit of mentorship, so that they learn what business environment looks on both sides. There will be even a trade visit, so we'll facilitate especially the top of the class entrepreneurs to visit Slovakia. And in this case, they will already be partnering with the Slovak compatriots.
Farmers are being encouraged to incorporate emerging agricultural technologies to boost yields, improve food quality and increase incomes as the sector grapples with climate pressures and rising production costs. Researchers at the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, KALRO, say innovative and sustainable farming methods are key in helping increase productivity, protecting soil health and preserving the environment.
So our stakeholders and partners in the vaccine were important for us to target some of these partners because of where the state occurs, especially media interviews with the scientists and the person that is managed by our director.
How many seeds are we seeing? Maybe hybrids, variety of seeds are we seeing for rice that are ready for upscale?
KALRO has already worked on the rice value chain. Initially, we had our KALRO variety, but through the rigorous research work, we've just released the new varieties. I think we have currently 4 ready to move to the field. And last week we were able to release some of the varieties that are being bred at our station in Mwea, and they are ready to move, and the seeds will be available. KALRO is currently working on the seed modification, and then we can assure our farming community that certified rice varieties, rice seeds, are now available for the scaling.
So,
And now finally, let's play. Harambee Starlets will return to action this afternoon when they face Lesotho in the third-place playoff match of the Four Nations tournament at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Ndola, Zambia. The match follows a show of thrills and spills against host Zambia 2 days ago, where Fasile Athiambo leveled the game to take it to penalties after a 1-1 draw in the regulation time. Starlets bowed out after losing 4-1 in penalties and will now play Lesotho, who also fell to a 3-1 defeat against Zimbabwe in the other semi-final tie. Starlets will be eyeing a bronze as a motivation to gear them up for this year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament, WAFCON, in Morocco, set for July 25th to August 16th. And we wish our ladies all the best as they take on that particular team. Bring it home, ladies. Now that marks the end of our bulletin at this hour. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 2. Also do join us in our subsequent bulletins for more. But you can always find more on our webpage at www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Caroline Joroge. Good afternoon for now.
We do not have a special society, so it has to start with us.
We still have a large number of people who doesn't know the rights of persons with disability. We still have a large number of people who are not exposed. Parents and guardians, they are still hiding persons with disability.
Nimekuwa na challenge moja tu ya kumpeleka shule. Juu shule yenye ameitwa ni huko Kilimani. Ukimpeleka shule za huku unakuambia wataki mtoto haoni. Juu ati tukimweka huko kwa class ni kumpotezea wakati.
We want to get rid of those areas and the normal way people look at people with disabilities, the way they charge them.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia upanzi wa parachichi na makadamia.
Lakini huwezi kusema ati utategemea hii peke yake kwa sababu sasa matunda ni kidogo. Lakini kama ukiwa na ekaleji kubwa, makadamia inaweza kusaidia kwa sababu pesa iko.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
If you did not see it on Group 5.
Yo, and welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show right here in the 254. If you remember last week, I did promise you something. The Queen is back. Miss V, karibu sana, unaka vizuri.
Thank you very much. I thought I was gonna, get, find what was Saisol, wameletwa hapa.